If you're someone watching this video and you hold any number of crypto altcoins, I'm going to really ask you pay attention, please. Not for my sake, but for your sake, because today I want to go over this recent crash that has happened, right? I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to waste your time here talking about things you already know about the crash. But what I want to spend some more time on is giving you my insights, my over 10,000 hours now in the crypto industry and over an entire cycle worth of already seeing this sort of thing and how to capitalize on the particular event. It can be very easy to kind of go all in or stay out a little too much from what you should be in this time, because I think it's very important to get an overall look at what is to come and where we are right now in comparison, okay? So please pay attention. This 10-15 minutes might be one of the most important you've seen in the recent months. Like I said, you can chalk this crash up to being whatever you so wish. Some people are out here saying this was a foreseeable event from, of course, the charts. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that that is either correct or incorrect. I actually do think that the situation you're seeing on your screen here is likely probably the cause of such a crash, and this is a possible indication the crash might continue, especially of course, being at Monday here, when the US markets open, there could be a situation where those capitulate somewhat, which might cause a further, crash in the crypto markets as well. But there also is headlines such as this indicating that, hey, this might be more bite than actual brawn, okay? So there is a few situations that might see this not being as severe of a crash in traditional markets, therefore crypto, as we might presume. And again, there definitely was a time in which we could predict something like this to happen, because if we just zoom out here and look at the, total three, so the crypto market excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, there's definitely a case to be made that this happened in the past, therefore it's likely to happen again somewhat now. Back at, roughly speaking, this time in the last cycle, we dropped about 34%. Again, this is the entire, basically, altcoins except those top two. And now we've dropped about 23.6% in 2 days. Okay, so this isn't something that you would consider, I guess, out of the blue. This is very, very normal for the crypto market. So for all of you people seeing these fear-mongering headlines, oh, crypto's over, should you prepare for a bear market? Forget about those people. They're just designed to get you clicks. It's a part of the game. And of course, this is very, very normal when you look at Bitcoin's chart, okay? Bitcoin indicates here, and what we've been saying here for a very long time, once we hit the all-time high, we consolidate for a period of time, likely go down a bit. You can see here in the last cycle, we actually went down about 17% from that point. Over here, it's about 15%. So much of a muchness, we might fall a little bit lower. Again, this really isn't a black swan event. I think technically it is if this was to be a full all-out war, which definitely could escalate to. However, I think right now this is definitely programmed into the market in terms of these are very healthy corrections. So nothing to be concerned with in terms of the size of the crash itself, but could it develop into something more? Yes, which is why my next point is going to be ever more important. The next point being that I've said for the longest time, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, you should listen to me and me only. This is why you should listen to me. No, and I'm not trying to say that sort of stuff, right? All I'm saying is I think it was very important to hold a little bit of your total portfolio in cash. All right, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Of course, being a market like crypto, you might have Bitcoin, Ethereum, even the entire market cap drop by 10-15%. But when you look towards altcoins, these guys fall a lot more than that, okay? So sometimes you can pick up altcoins for a lot cheaper if you just wait for these crashes, even after substantial price movements, okay? Which is also why it's good to take profits as well. So yes, I do think having some of your portfolio in cash is a good idea. Now, personally speaking, and I think going forward from this point in time, around 5 to 10% is definitely worthwhile. And if you had that from my, somewhat recent videos in the last month, you would have been able to pick up a lot of these altcoins for dirt cheap. Now, I'm going to show you my portfolio here in a second. And it's interesting with portfolios because a lot of people look at what I'm holding and think, hey, you talk about these projects and you like these projects, but you don't own them. Yes. I think it's important to also hold cash in your portfolio, but not hold a lot of altcoins either. If you're someone that has more than 15 altcoins, this better be your full-time job. If you hold more than 15 altcoins, even if those few positions towards the end of that portfolio are like a couple $100, very, very small amounts, in relation to the size of your portfolio, then I think even that becomes, too unmanageable for most people, right? Because at that point in time, you're thinking to yourself, I've got to somewhat manage those, which can get quite difficult if you're, again, managing a portfolio of 30 altcoins. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what I've done here. Now, I almost refrain from wanting to show this because every time I show my portfolio or what I've done, I have a lot of people down below saying, oh, this doesn't make any sense because you talk about this, or they always like to nitpick about what I've done here. So I would just like to say, for those of you who are inclined to nitpick on what I have done, whether you think you're right or you think I'm wrong, whatever it may have been, just understand that this is my portfolio. It doesn't impact you in any way. I am showing you this for the people who want to learn, for the people who don't know what to do with their own portfolio and want to see what someone else is doing. I know a lot of YouTubers don't show their portfolios, but I'm here living up to the No BS name by literally assisting you as if I was assisting myself 4 years ago when I first started in crypto. So again, this is not to show off. This is not to flex. This is not to open myself up to criticism. It's just to help. Alrighty. So what I actually did, and one of the most notable things I will say straight away, is I actually sold about almost 100,000 of my HBAR tokens. I'm not going to show you my transactions because this is why I've made this available for tier 2 in the private community. But I sold about 100,000 HBAR tokens to help fund a further DCA into other coins. Now, I also injected a fair chunk of cash as well. It was about 10% of my portfolio I basically injected, leaving me with, let's just say, not much not much cash, or should I say, right now. I definitely have a bit more than what's shown down here. I don't know if you guys can really see it because of my screen. I'm obviously on a green screen right now, but I hold probably about 1,000 USDT according to this, but it's a bit more than that. It's about a couple thousand USDT. But suffice to say, not much. So I took full advantage of this dip. And again, I sold some of my HBAR to help me accumulate some more of the tokens that were on a substantial discount. The reason why I sold my HBAR was because it was by far my number one holding. It was by far a project that I had invested the most amount of cost basis. And it was still up at the time I sold. Now, I did also unstake about 3,000 NEAR tokens as well. And I'm not going to sell those unless the market does take a further crash, and I'm still substantially up on my NEAR protocol. You can see I'm about a 2.5x up right now. So I'm happy to take some of the profits off the table there and move them into coins that I can, don't have a sizable position on, or are the ones that are down the most. So you can see here, when I'm looking to buy my altcoins on a crash, particularly this one, I will look for the ones that are down the most. Now, for starters, you don't want to own any altcoins in your portfolio that you aren't willing to buy more of, okay? Unless you've completely filled your bag up and you're like, I'm not going to invest anymore, I've spent too much money on this coin, then in my personal opinion, it makes sense to just keep buying, right? So one of these prime examples was, of course, Wormhole. I didn't really buy too much more Wormhole. Again, I know you guys probably can't see it quite well, but Wormhole is this one down here. I have dollar cost average quite high, but I didn't want to buy any more because I've put so much in recently. I thought it would make the most amount of sense to buy more of the coins I haven't been, such as Render. I bought a fair bit of Render tokens. I also bought some more Flux. I also bought some more Celestia. I didn't buy more Fetch and Singularity Net, by the way, and I really should have, and I could have. The reason being is because they're merging into the new ASI token. So for me, it doesn't make sense to buy more of a token. I'm effectively buying almost at about a 3.5-4 billion market cap, or a 5 billion market cap, roughly speaking. We're not entirely sure of what it will launch at, and therefore what my average buy-in price will exactly be at this point in time. So I'm not going to leave that up to question. And so, of course, I bought more, as I said, Render, Celestia. I bought a lot more Pith and more Manta because they were down the most. Now, I bought a lot more Pith. It wasn't actually down the most. Manta was down by far one of the most, so I bought a lot more of these tokens. But Pith was there because I firmly believe this project is going to do a lot of multiples and therefore bring my average up. Something like HBAR, moving the tokens out of that position and therefore minimizing my risk, right? Looking for now maybe a 10x with HBAR rather than a 15x. And then looking for maybe a 15 or a 20x with my Pith, which is much more realistic, is something you can switch and change with here. So moving around that risk definitely makes a lot of sense. So yes, this is my entire portfolio. At this point in time, my MENA, NEAR, and HBAR are all somewhat similar in terms of how much money I currently hold of the tokens. Not my cost basis. NEAR is definitely way down there in terms of how much money I've invested, but at this point in time, it's definitely performing quite well. And so you can see here, I'm kind of like bringing up all of my coins to share somewhat similar percentages of my portfolio, which is what I like, okay? I want to have this nice and diverse portfolio, not just in terms of the narratives, but also in terms of the percent in my portfolio itself. Now, if you're asking me, Kyron, what other coins would you look to buy on this dip? Well, I would always look towards what coins you currently hold and find what you're missing, and that will be one of the best narratives of the bull run. So for myself, Synesis One over here and Goldfinch were two that I was eyeing off. I should be getting some more capital in today. So what I'll look to try to do is find a good entry for Goldfinch and Synesis One. These definitely were a lot cheaper recently, which is a little bit disappointing. I'm probably going to wait off here and again, find a better entry point in time and see what comes of the market open in the US and see if we do fall a little bit lower during this next week. Again, the Bitcoin halving is this week as well. So keep in mind that, things are likely going to be, launching soon. But again, if I can buy these as low as I possibly can, that would be ideal. Again, we're buying at the tops here for Goldfinch, which is a particular narrative I'm missing out on, being real world assets. So buying this at 116 million market cap definitely has the upside potential there. And Synesis One hitting both AI, gaming, and also play to earn or learn to earn or train to earn, whatever narrative you want to talk about there, definitely, ideal at this low market cap. Okay, so huge potential in this case, and they kind of help double or triple down on narratives I'm already in, Synesis One being in gaming as well, and Goldfinch real world assets, while Superverse is a potential investment, again, being that gaming infrastructure play, but right now I'll look towards these two as further buys. Now, like I spoke about in the introduction, what do I think possibly could come here in the next, week and then few months? Well, the first week, like I said, we have the Bitcoin halving coming up on the 20th of April, roughly, which happens to be my birthday. I know, what a good birthday present that'll be. But traditionally, we do see, I wouldn't say an instant correction after the halving itself, but we do find prices slightly drop overall in that next week or two, by about 5% or so in terms of the global market cap. And that's not to say that this will or won't happen this time. We've hit the all-time high already in terms of Bitcoin's price being well and truly before we normally see it happen. So anything could really happen. And you could possibly argue this crash has given us prices that we won't even see after the halving, slight correction anyway. So I think, again, it makes the most amount of sense to do something like, again, non-financially, of course, something like I've sort of done where you've, invested a certain amount of your portfolio, your cash, and right now you have a slither in cash just waiting for something to possibly happen in this next week or couple months. Now, again, if you are someone a lot in cash right now, right? Let's say you have 20 or 30% of your portfolio or more in cash, that might actually be advantageous for you as well. Because again, a black swan event definitely could come up here with this sparks of war, okay? If that is announced, if something escalates in terms of the Iran, Israel, Palestine situation, we could definitely have a crash of even further proportions. We have a lot of traders now predicting a retracement down to $50,000 Bitcoin, which most definitely would give you an optimal time to buy. I think either way, guys, 5 to 10% of your portfolio in cash is a smart thing to have, worst case, okay? So look, with that being said, again, this has not been financial advice. I want you to take this information on board and do what you want with it. Again, like you can criticize what I've done, absolutely. Maybe you want to pat me on the back and say, I think you did the right thing. Doesn't bother me at all. We're all in this game to make money together. I don't see why any of us should be trying to put ourselves down or others down. When in reality, again, we're all just trying to do the same thing, right? So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take good care.